On Saturday, August 15, 2026, Friends of the Bradford Memorial Library gathered to celebrate its 50th anniversary.
Hi, I'm Mica Hunter. I'm the director here at Bradford Library. And I would like to introduce Steve Cost, who is the Friends of the Library president. He was a fairly new member when he agreed to be vice president, and then he agreed to step up when we needed a new president last year. And so we've appreciated his service and willingness to help out with that. So Steve has a better voice than I do, that carries. So he's going to be introducing our other little speakers we have here. So little speakers, brief speakers. Steve is also a graphite artist whose work can be seen at Gallery 12 in Wichita. So check that out if you're into art. And he's going to be our MC today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Micah. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your afternoon to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Friends of the Library. My name is Steve Cost, as Micah said. I'm the current president of the Friends of the Library, and I'd like to introduce the other officers, if they're here. So, Carol McLennan. Sorry. Rita Richards. Is Rita here? Okay, the secretary, she's probably taking notes. And then Rhonda Holt, the treasurer. Hello. Lady in charge of all the money. I would like to take time to thank the committee that put all this together. Jerry Everson, Kathy Long, Peter Briggs, Diane Gavin, Kathy Burton, Cecilia Hausman, Mica Hunter, of course, Cheryl Williams, and of course, Morgan Metcalf, who came up with the idea of doing this. And we really appreciate that. Give these people a round of applause. Okay, here, let's see where I'm at here. Right now, I'd like to recognize Marietta Gann. Yep. And I'd like her daughter, Adele, to come up and present her with a corsage. If you would.
Okay. Do you want me to tell
Yes.
everybody that came?
Yes.
Okay. Mom is Marietta. And then that's my sister Teresa behind her. Her husband Terry is back here somewhere. His brother Drew. My brother Doug is back there. And my brother Scott and Jill are there. And my daughter Emma. And my niece Megan. Who am I missing? And Jody. And her very, very bestest friend is sitting right next to her, and she's been part of Friends of the Library too, Peggy Myers. And her daughter Terry, because she's also family.
Very good. Marietta was on the original Friends of the Library staff when we first started this. Marietta, I'd like to say a few words.
You want to say anything about how important the library is, Paul?
It's just been a blessing to me from the day when I got started many years ago. And so many of these have been there, gone with me, been there and done hard work for me. And I love it now, and I loved it then.
Thank you for all that you've done for us. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to introduce Sue Beatty. Sue Beatty, come up here. Sue's husband was a librarian here, and then a librarian at Butler County College. Sue?
Well, Brian came just before you all got organized. We were living in Topeka. Can you hear me? Okay. He was working at the state library at that time, and he had occasion to visit the libraries in Mr. Paul's library system. Bradford being one of them. And so when he came here for the first time, he came back to Topeka saying, they have a beautiful facility. And he said, and the best part is that one of their citizens bequeathed money to build the library. And he said that those people are so fortunate. And this was in 74, I think. And then he and Bart became working friends, you know. Some of you probably remember Bart, but he preceded Brian. And so a couple of months later, Bart had an occasion to be in Topeka, and he went into Brian's office and he said, do you want my job? Brian said, well, maybe, what's up? And he said, well, Kathy and I are moving to Hawaii, and I'm going to turn in my resignation. So you think about it, and if you're interested, send your resume to this person. So he did, and he came here in 74, and I guess you started the next year. I was thinking of 76 to be 50 years, but shortly after he came, the Friends of the Library formed, and he was certainly always happy to have new forms of revenue, and the Friends were so helpful with that. First was they called it the Burger Bean Dinner, and I think it was Helen Case that said you can serve sloppy joes to more people in a faster amount of time than you can hamburgers. And so they changed it, and it used to be in the library. I can't quite remember, I don't know how they got tables up the stairs, or it might have been in the library. However, at that time, the climber room was established and being used a lot. It was lovely, and Brian always loved getting to meet Mr. Climber. But anyway, then the Sloppy Joe dinner, and then later the auction was added, and then the book sale is a wonderful form of revenue, and so he was always happy for that. Then Irvin Grant helped him make out a endowment fund after that, and even small amounts of money. I'm thinking of one of the avid library users when he first came was Carla Duran, or then it was Carla Knausman, and so he told her that he would always and forever, that she would always have a place in his heart, because her overdue fund was the first one that was ever collected. So all through the years, he always said, Carla, don't you want to keep your books a little longer? We could use your overdue fund. But he really loved his 13 years here before he went to Wichita, and then he went to the college. And it was just so impressed with the community support. And so that's it. I told Frida, she kept telling me, keep it short. So that's all.
For those of you that don't know, the mission of the Friends of the Library is that twice a year we have a used book sale down in the climber room. And the members get together, we gather up all the books, and we offer a 3-day sale. And we have a big sale along with that. And the proceeds are donated to the library, and we do that twice a year. Once a year, we have the Sloppy Joe fee in October, and the proceeds from that also go to the library. And the library has had opportunity to make really good use of the funds we raise. Summer reading programs. What's the program about renting the passes?
We have family passes that are like museums.
Yes.
And zoos and stuff like that.
Yep.
Sometimes the whole lists are kind of long, so sometimes we'll ask, like next year we may ask them for more money.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, you'll probably get it. So, you know, that's our mission. And I'm really fortunate to have a group of women and a couple of men that really step up. As you see here, this was all done by the members. I had very little to do with it. They just tell me what to do, and I gladly do it. So that's our mission, and I just wanted to pass it on to you so you have an idea. I'd like you to draw attention as you go through the library. The ladies have put out materials from 1976 that you can look at. A yearbook, books that were popular, et cetera, et cetera. So as you are leaving and walking around, take a look at those and get an idea of just how much work that they've done, and you can see what 50 years has passed. Now I'd like to introduce Paul Hawkins. He is from the South Central Kansas Library System, and he has a short presentation for us.
You would think that having worked with libraries for 40 years that I would have anticipated that, like, oh, it's the summertime, and of course the library is this great place, it's air conditioned, so you know there'll be a lot of people, but I never thought there would be this many people. And again, Marietta Gann's family, again, welcome. I'm glad you're all here. I did make some handouts because I know some of you can't, I don't know if I can give these to, thank you. If you can't see the slide program, that's okay. So one of the things, again, I work with 144 member libraries in this region, and over the last several years, it's like I finally have time to ask questions that I wish that I had been asking all my career. And one of those is, what is your earliest experience of using the library? And then the second question is, why do you care about the library? So I'm going to talk about my initial experience at the Bradford Memorial Library. I am from Hutchinson, and I grew up in Hutchinson, but during the summers, 1976 through 1980, I worked for the Kansas Department of Transportation. I was summer help. So during the week, I'd come here and stay in a motel, but I used the library. I'd come to the library in the evening. So one of the things I remembered was like, well, I remember getting a library card, and interestingly enough, my recollection is that, again, it's like, well, I'm not even sure I can get a library card in El Dorado because I live in Hutchinson, but I came in and kind of explained who I was, where I lived, and the person who gave me a library card just like, oh, no problem. And that was Sue Beatty's husband, Brian Beatty. So 8 years later, when I first became employed by the South Central Kansas Library System, I had occasion to be at a meeting, and it's like, wow, I remember this person from 8 years ago. So my initial experience with the Bradford Memorial Library was a positive one. And I think that, again, all of you have your own positive experiences. But one of the experiences that I wanted to share was, well, I said that I asked people this question about why do they care about the library. So interestingly to me, regardless of age, the person often says, my children participated in story times or youth programs. So for me, that helped me understand why libraries put a lot of emphasis on young people and introducing young people to reading. Another generation said, well, when I was in college and high school, I studied at the library. So again, that was another familiar experience about like, well, why do people care about libraries? What were their early experiences? And then it kind of goes into a more general description of like, well, libraries are just good. They're good for the community. They're about doing good. So that's, I'm not going to be able to visit with everyone, but I probably will kind of go around after this, and if you have an experience that you want to share, I'd love to hear about it. I wanted to give a little bit, since this is about history, a little bit of Friends of Libraries, just Friends of Libraries in general. And really, Friends of Libraries started, at least in the United States, with women's groups and women's clubs. Before the 1900, they were often literary clubs, were often the precursor to public libraries. So the essential fact about the El Dorado Public Library is it, I believe, was first established in 1897. And as far as the first Friends of the Libraries, and again, it's like I know that you can't see these, but I wanted to talk about the first library in Kansas. And this is a slide. On the right side is the Coal Creek Library building that was constructed in 1900. And then on the left side is actually a drawing, an illustration by Margaret Whittemore. And this book is in the Bradford Memorial Library. Margaret Whittemore was an illustrator and librarian. She was born 1897 and lived until 1983, but in 1954, this book called Historic Kansas, a centenary edition, I think, of Kansas Landmarks was published. And so there's no illustration of the Kingman Carnegie Library, but this library is in the book. So one of the things about this is that the year is actually 1859. As you know, Kansas became a state in 1861, so this was during the territorial period. So Martha Cutter and Annie Soule were two women who lived in Vinland, Kansas. Vinland, Kansas is near Lawrence, Baldwin City, Douglas County in northeast Kansas. So they started the first library in Kansas for 50 cents. You could have a membership, and they had their initial collection had 10 books in it that you could check out. So one of the things as libraries developed statewide and friends groups statewide has always been, again, this emphasis on friends help the library get more resources, more books in the historical case to be available to all of us. One of the things about Friends, so again, if you think about this evolution of Friends groups, the first Friends of the Library, again, were women's groups, and then in the 1920s, then there started to be formal Friends groups, and then actually we'll talk in a moment about the establishment of the Friends of the Bradford Memorial Public Library, but there is a statewide organization called Friends of Kansas Libraries, and as part of this recognition, the Friends of Kansas Libraries sent a letter. And I'm going to ask Nancy to read this for me.
So this is from Carolyn Little, President of Friends of Kansas Libraries. Bradford Memorial Library Friends, we have learned that Friends of the Bradford Memorial Library is celebrating its 50th anniversary. Your outreach by providing books for children, summer reading programs, passes for museum visits, and large print books extends your library's ability to serve El Dorado. Friends at Bradford Memorial Library provide valuable community support. Volunteers add sparkle to the excellent service your library provides to the residents of El Dorado and surrounding area. Great libraries need great friends. Friends of Kansas Library Board sends our congratulations as you celebrate the 50th year since the organization of Friends of Bradford Memorial Library. Best regards, Carolyn Little, President of Friends of Kansas Library.
So part of the reason I was able to do this presentation today is because Morgan Metcalf had done some research in advance of this. And here's the documentation from the minutes of the Bradford Memorial Library Board, December 15th, 1975. So I said that one of the things I like to do is to ask people to talk about their experience with the library, and it's like, where did Morgan go? Morgan, I tricked you a little bit because I said that I wanted you to talk about, again, your recollection of the establishment of the Friends of the Library. And that's what you had shared with me, and I was wondering if you could just read that out loud.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Upon retiring in 2005, that's me, I began volunteering at Bradford. One day, Martha Gregg, the librarian, do you all remember Martha? Asked if I'd like to attend a Friends meeting. Until then, I don't think I knew that there was a Friends group. I agreed and went to the noon meeting. I think at that time there were only a few members, one of whom was Marietta Gann. It just so happened that on the agenda was the election of officers. The then president, Emma Miller, do all of you remember Emma? She was a very active member of Friends and a library board member, was having health issues and did not want to continue. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, I was nominated for president, and I wasn't even a member. Over my objections, I was elected, and thus began my 13-year term. No one else would take the position. Take the position until Marlene Rethman. Marlene, stand up. She took the position and really did a fine job. She got much more organized than I did as president. I must say the experience was a positive one, especially in that the group grew in numbers and we accomplished several positive activities. And I'm going to say our group was much smaller. Marlene and Steve have really grown Friends in numbers, but even though we had a smaller group, whatever someone would suggest we do, we did. And I was very grateful for that, to have such a willing group to participate. But that's my experience.
Here we are today, recognizing the 50th anniversary of the Friends of the Library. 50 years of support for the library through fundraising, publicity, and volunteer service. Libraries need friends. And in my introduction, we talked a little bit about why people care about libraries. But what can happen when we stop caring about our libraries? This illustration is of the ancient world's most famous and largest library, the library at Alexandria, Virginia. Or Alexandria, Egypt, sorry. Too much Washington on my mind. So the common belief has always been that the library was destroyed in a single dramatic fire. But that belief has changed, and archaeologists and historians now believe that the library was destroyed through a slow process. That process of decline was caused by institutional neglect, political apathy, and diminished funding. People stopped caring. People stopped being friends of the library. All of you, Marietta Gann, Sue Beatty, Morgan Metcalf, Marlene Patty, Marlene Rethman, Steve Cross, and other friends of the Bradford Memorial Library, because of your caring, the library continues to thrive. Thank you all for caring about the library.
Thank you, Paul. That was very interesting. I didn't know all that stuff, believe it or not.
Ask the librarian.
At this time, I'd like to invite Mica to come up, if she would, please.
Are we gonna have picture taken with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And at this time, I'd like to present Mica with one of the two plaques that we have made for the library for the 50th anniversary of the Friends of the Library. With that, that includes our program for today. Thank you so much for coming and for all of your support. We really deeply appreciate it.
Thanks for all
Thank you.
If you enjoy community stories like this, please consider subscribing. Thanks.